Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of the SOO The Milwaukee Road. My name is William Sampson. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the railroad I'm going to be modeling is the SOO line in 1986. Some people say, 86, really? It says, well, it's a merger year. I'm not old enough to be like 70s were the heyday. No, 60s were the heyday. No, 50s were the heyday. No, the 40s were the heyday. Well, depending on how old you are, it might go further back than that. But the point is, I've chosen 1986 for that merger year. And that allows me to be able to get the integration of a lot of Milwaukee Road equipment from their ribside cabooses, their ribside freight cars, their home-built or shop-built locomotives from the SDL-39 to the GP-20. I like the kit bashing element of the hobby, but with so many of the manufacturers now coming out with such nice rolling stock, it's making it a little bit harder. So I dare the manufacturers to come out with this. All the scenery that comes along with these eras that we're modeling. Now, for my case, I picked Minneapolis to St. Paul. The reason for doing so, South Minneapolis had a very interesting element that I like. It's called the ditch, the 29th Street Depression. For anybody that doesn't know it, it's basically a railroad that was taken in a city, submerged below street level, and then created a corridor that the railroad could be going in and out of and not interrupting all the cross traffic. That said, I find that to be an element that not finding many manufacturers that are going to make me all my overpasses, so there's the kit bashing element that I'm going to be able to integrate. Along with the Ford plant. The Ford plant is down in South St. Paul, and it's an area that you're going to be able to integrate as a branch line. Find that interesting because then you got your auto racks, you got your auto boxes. You can run just a short run from Pig's Eye up to the Ford plant as a small job for an operator to be able to have during a session. Now, I look at all this stuff and say, what all the planning? Well, a few things. When you're planning your railroad, you want to take into consideration the scale, the compression. My stretch from Minneapolis to St. Paul is 15 miles. When I look at 15 miles of track, you think, man, you could almost do that one-to-one. Well, as much as we'd like to, I got to compress it a little bit. In this case, let's take Southtown Yard as an example. That's the area just north of the Hiawatha Elevator District that I'm also going to model. Now, Southtown Yard, it's 18 tracks wide. I'm going to compress it down to 7. Figure that's going to be a decent depth. In addition to that, my railroad won't be deeper than 24 inches. Now, you say 24 inches, why is that? Well, reachability, track maintenance, any repairs that might need to take place just on structures and so forth, not having to reach in too deep.
That's what she said.
I found that to be a difficult element on my dad's railroad, that reach was always kind of a problem. There's those tough spots. Now, trying to plan against that, I've been able to do so by, one, having those type of situations arise on his railroad, and I think this kind of stinks. Well, I'm now taking TrackCAD as the program. It's X-TrackCAD, it's online, it's freeware, so you'll be able to use the software to plan your railroad. Get an idea how it works. You can even simulate it. They can put locomotives, boxcars, and so forth on the program. When you do this, that gets your idea down on paper. That's huge. Having an idea down on paper will take you a long ways. It's much like an architect that has a building plan, so you have something to go off of. And TrackCAD provides that, and I think that's a great solution to be able to at least get it down on paper or on computer. Graph paper also works, so if you go old school, just get the idea down. This also helps you know how many turnouts you're going to need, what kind of turnouts you're going to need. If you're using it on X-TrackCAD, you can actually pick Pico, Walters, you name it. As far as a manufacturer, Atlas, a lot of the big manufacturers don't come along and say, well, what about this scratch build? Well, actually, they do have scratch building, so ask any question you may, and maybe they'll have it. But the point being is that you can have a roster of how many turnouts you need. You can have a list, then it says you need 14 number 6 right hands. Have that thing printed out, bring it to your local hobby shop, or slowly pick away at picking up those pieces at various swap meets. Now, in my case, as you can see, not a whole lot has started. So in this series of SOO The Milwaukee Road, we're going to take you through those steps. From inspirational things like layout tours, showing you the different railroads that we go out and see, right down to building the benchwork for this baby, as well as the electrical that goes into it. I'm not going to say this is going to be the how-to guaranteed right way to create a railroad. It's just another way to create a railroad. Give you some inspiration. Find some ways to be able to pick apart and look at prototypes and piece those things together to create your own masterpiece. Maybe it'll be a freelance railroad, much like the Arkwood in Rice Creek, owner Gary Friesman has in St. Paul. I've operated that a number of times, and it's a great inspiration to be able to see what is he doing, what elements are taking place there that I can incorporate into my own railroad. Now, interacting with a lot of other modelers is a great source to be able to get that information that maybe you don't think of on your own. It might be a turnout alignment. I had a three-way switch laid out in my track plan. My dad looked at it and says, no, let's just modify this, we can create it this way. And yeah, I ended up having to buy 2 new switches, but it solved the problem that we were able to compress and have the track work the way it needed to. So as you move forward with a lot of your planning, take into account that other modelers can always help, prototype can always help, but when it really comes down to it, asking forums can help as well. So if you go online, MRH has a great set of forums that people are always, commenting on. And I have been pounding through a lot of that information as well, but maybe this becomes just another little piece of the puzzle for you. So thank you for watching SOO The Milwaukee Road, and hopefully you'll join me for future episodes. Thank you.